Okay, this is the FLAG Nutrition Guide. Covers the specifics about what a compliant meal, again, a score of 1, can contain, and also goes over in detail what the neutral foods or drinks are. So the first component of a compliant meal is protein. This is important because it helps build and maintain lean muscle mass. It's satisfying, it helps stabilize blood sugar. So a source of protein should be eaten during every meal. And for the first 2 weeks, as I said in a previous video, there are no portion size restrictions on protein sources except for the cheese, as noted below. So I have a list here of animal and vegetarian protein choices. Again, pretty self-explanatory here. The only one that is portion controlled right off the bat is cheese, because it is easy to overeat. So I've given you some portion size guidelines for cheese. In addition, plain cottage cheese, not any of the fruited kinds, plain yogurt, Greek or regular, does not need to be fat-free. This also applies to the milk, and it applies to the cottage cheese. So whatever your preference is fine. It can be full fat. That's absolutely fine. Then there's vegetarian protein choices. So any type of bean, hummus. If you have ever looked on the nutrition label of hummus, the serving size is 2 tablespoons, which is pretty minimal. So in order for this to count as a protein, the minimum serving is actually half a cup. So as an example, you could have carrots and hummus, but you'd want to make sure you have enough carrots to have at least half a cup of hummus for that to count as a compliant meal. And again, you'd need a source of hydration for that to get a score of 1. So just something to note there. Nuts and nut butters, trying to look for nut butters without added sugar or oils, aka natural nut butters, seeds, and then tofu, tempeh, and seitan. Vegetables, another component of a compliant meal. They provide a wide array of vitamins and minerals. They're an excellent source of fiber. Unlimited amounts of these can be eaten. However, at least 1 cup needs to be included in a compliant meal. Just as a reminder, you can have fruit instead of vegetables and still get a score of 1 to be compliant. But if you are including vegetables as part of your compliant meal, it's 1 cup as the minimum serving size. And one thing I encourage people to do is to eat a wide variety of vegetables. So focusing on what's in season, which is pretty easy to do right now since it's summer. This is just a list of several different vegetables out there. A lot of people get stuck on eating the same things. It gets really boring. So feel free to refer to this list just for some new ideas. Maybe something you haven't had in a while. To touch on the starchy vegetable topic again, these are neutral foods, okay? So corn, sweet potatoes, white potatoes, peas. They can be part of a compliant meal. Again, it does not count as your vegetable, and they are limited to 1 serving as indicated in the parentheses here, okay? Fruit. So again, you need a fruit and or a vegetable in a compliant meal to get that score of 1. Fruit also provides a wide array of vitamins and minerals. It's an excellent source of fiber. You need to have at least half a cup if you're including in a compliant meal. There's no serving size restrictions, but it is encouraged to eat more vegetables than fruit, only because vegetables are lower in calories. Whole fresh fruit is preferred over dried, and juice does not count as fruit even if it's 100%. So literally any fruit is fine. There's no fruits that are off the table in this program at all. Whole grains. Just like starchy vegetables, these are neutral or optional. They tend to make a meal more filling and satisfying. They offer a good source of fiber. Again, if you choose to include these as part of a compliant meal, having one serving as indicated on the package label. And if you look at your document here, in general, half a cup cooked of any of the following greens is one serving. And I just list some different ones, probably some you've never heard of before. Again, variety is good, so go ahead and check out some of these weirder sounding ones. Most of them are cooked the same way you would cook rice, so it's nothing complicated to make them. The only one that is more than half a cup is pasta, actually. So you can have up to 1 cup of pasta. I do encourage people to eat whole grain varieties just because they do have more fiber and you'll feel more satisfied after eating them. So when looking for a whole grain pasta, the first ingredient should be whole wheat, brown rice, whole grain, something like that. It should not say enriched wheat flour or semolina. This is a list of acceptable whole grain cereals. Okay, these aren't the only acceptable ones, so if you are looking for a different type of cereal other than the ones listed here, you'd want to look for cereals with less than 8 grams of sugar per serving. And it's also important to look at the label to find the recommended serving size because, again, in order for these cereals to be part of a compliant meal, you are limited to the serving size. Okay, so also some acceptable whole grain crackers. Again, limited to that recommended serving size, which you'll find on the package. Okay. Fats. Another neutral or optional food. Fats do not make you fat. That is probably one of my least favorite misconceptions. Fats are really important for our body to absorb nutrients. So all the vitamins and minerals you eat in fruits and vegetables, those can't be absorbed without some fat in your diet. So in addition, it keeps us feeling fuller longer, improves our skin, hair, nails, brain function, and also helps lower our cholesterol levels, believe it or not. So again, if you choose to include these as part of a compliant meal, having one serving as indicated on the package label is recommended. And these are some examples of healthy sources of fat. So half of a whole avocado, different oils, hummus. So as I said before, if you're counting it as a protein, you should be having at least half a cup. If you're counting it as a fat instead of a protein, you are going to abide by the 2 tablespoon serving size on the label. Nuts, seeds, natural nut butters. Again, these do count as protein as well, but you can include them as a fat if you'd like. The servings stay the same. 1/4 cup of nuts or 2 tablespoons of any nut butter. Light mayo, pesto, oil-based salad dressing, and butter is actually acceptable as well. It is limited to 1 tablespoon per day, such as on top of a potato or mixed in with another rice or other grain. And hydration. So this is, again, one of the things that you definitely need to include in a compliant meal. And being properly hydrated keeps all of these systems in our body functioning optimally, especially metabolism and digestion. So you must have at least 8 ounces of a source of hydration with a meal for it to be considered compliant, and compliant choices include the ones listed here. Okay? Here we just have some examples of what a 100% compliant day looks like. Now, one thing I want to point out is I don't actually want you guys to get 100% compliance every day because that is perfection, and perfection is not sustainable long term. Okay? So I really want you to work on fitting all of your non-compliant foods that you enjoy and love into your day and into your week, and figure out how to fall in that 80 to 90%, which is much more sustainable than 100%. But this just gives you some examples of some meal ideas and what a 100% compliant day would look like. Okay. I also have a list of recommended meal replacement / energy bars. So I'm a huge proponent of real whole food, but obviously there are times where we don't have access to it. So I would much rather have someone reach for one of the bars listed below rather than, stop at McDonald's or another fast food place just to get, something quick and easy. So down here, if you look down here, these are the ones I would recommend. Again, you would want to have a fruit or vegetable with these for it to get a score of 1 and be completely compliant, okay? If the ones listed below aren't something you usually eat and you have another in mind, take a look at the label and just see if it falls into these guidelines. Or feel free to post a picture of it on the Facebook group, or just simply ask me about the brand. The reality is they have new meal replacement bars on the market every day, and I can't keep track of all of them. So there's always something new out there. I also have some more meal ideas. The rest of this document is pretty much just helpful meal ideas and recipes for you guys. So I encourage you to certainly try some of them. They've been sampled and tried by all of my other past participants and clients, and everyone really enjoys them. So it's always good to have new recipe ideas. And in addition to the ones I'm giving you here, I'll also be posting different recipe ideas and food ideas to eat throughout this program on the Facebook page.